Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. Joined by the man who is such an inspiration to the league that everyone is starting to have a Star Wars night. Uh, Brian, you can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. Good to see that Union Omaha is going to now have a Star Wars night, and I made sure to let the front office know it needs to be better than Greenville's, but it does not appear that Geo is going to let that happen. So uh, we're going to have to see what we can do, and hopefully Omaha does something cool like they did last year and bring out the 501st Legion to come in and put on a little bit of a costume show for us too.
I remember seeing them walk around, and that was really cool. They looked truly authentic. I mean, the standards for their costuming were really high.
Oh yeah, I think their standard is like movie quality. If you don't have it at movie quality, then you're out.
That's crazy. And now that you have that on Geo's radar, you know he's going to go all out to make Greenville's super, super fun.
I'm gonna be honest though, it's gonna be tough to top Greenville's. I mean, I have the screenshot of my Twitter handle being on their poster for the match last season, so
It's
uh,
true.
it's gonna be tough to beat that one unless they superimpose me on the poster for Union Omaha. But I doubt that's gonna happen. I'm not a very
Yep.
good looking man, so I don't think that'll happen.
Okay, so if anybody from Greenville is listening, just like hit the mute button on your listening device here for just a few minutes. Because Brian, if you want the Star Wars night in Omaha to be truly magical, what are you looking for?
Um, I think the 501st Legion being out there would be cool. They're gonna have fireworks afterwards, which I'll tell you what, that's a big step right there too.
That's
Um,
cool.
you throw fireworks out there, especially on a Saturday match with the little Owls Club, so you can bring the kids out, they can see some fireworks. That right there is gonna be tough to beat. So anything on top of that is just that's just icing.
Nice. All right, so sounds like it's going to be a real fun night out there in Omaha.
I
And
think so.
it's even on Star Wars Day too, isn't it?
It is on May the 4th.
Oh,
Yes.
that's cool. Wait a second. Who's your opponent on May 4th?
That would be Tormenta. So I'm
I get to
expecting
be there for it?
I'm expecting to
Oh,
see
here we
Rich in
go.
person on May the 4th. We'll jump back to the old tailgating ways of last season.
That's so awesome. As soon as you said May 4th, I thought, wait a second. That one sounds like a special date in my mind, real quick. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. That's so exciting. Okay. Okay. Now I'm doubly excited for this one too. Ooh,
You
that's
know
going to
what?
be good.
With you coming back in town, I think Union Omaha doesn't need to do anything. I think that's good enough for me. I'll take that.
That's sweet. I was just chatting with one of our friends last night, and it was good to chat with her and hear how she's doing and how everything's going back home and all that stuff. I gotta stop saying that Nebraska's home because now that I'm here in Georgia, like this is home for me now.
That's home now. You got hometown and you've got your home that you live at, and the home that you live at is definitely in Georgia. That I can't imagine that commute. I don't think you can make that one work.
Yeah, that'd be kind of rough. Well, what are you drinking tonight?
So I've got water tonight. I went out to I forget the name of the bar. Blue Sky, I think, is the bar on 107th and Pacific, and did Wonder Bowl yesterday. I filled in for my brother's girlfriend in there. It was kind of their final league like practice night. So there were some beverages drank last night, and I didn't know that if you're in a league at Wonder Bowl and you bowl a turkey, they bring you 3 shots of wild turkey.
Oh my gosh.
So we there were two sets of shots. I only took one, but it was towards the end of the night. So um, shots for me are not my friend. So that it was a little rough this morning getting up and going into work, but we made it
That's
through.
awesome. You're that good of a bowler?
I'm not good. I know. I This was my first time bowling Wonder Bowl, and I think my high score was 166. So anybody who doesn't
Yeah.
know Wonder Bowl, it's essentially like mini bowling. So the pins are mini, the lanes are about a third the size of a regular bowling lane, and the balls that you use are like the size of bocce balls, but
Oh,
they're solid and obviously heavier. So it took a little bit of getting used to. Broke 100 every time, so that was the goal with
there
never
you go.
having played it before. But um, it's definitely something you gotta adjust to for sure.
Yeah. Are the pins attached to strings?
Not at that one, no.
Yeah.
I've seen some where mini bowling, they are attached to strings, but no, this is like a full on bowling actual setup. So it's got the automatic pin collector and everything, and it was pretty cool.
At the clubhouse, which Darren and Nitra own, their pins are attached on strings. And there were a couple times during our club outing where somebody would hit the pin just right so the string would hit another string and knock that pin over.
Nice.
So, yeah. Those were combo points right there.
Gotta love it. Gotta love
Yeah,
it.
that's cool. My goal, so you said your goal was to get over 100. My goal on club night was to not get last. That was my goal.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Not getting last was also a goal in my mind. I think the first game I did, but the next two I did not. So I'd say
It
two
was
out
like
of
when we
three.
went to Top Golf in Huntsville, Alabama, and the whole club was swinging their clubs up there. My goal that night was to not get last, and I didn't get last, but I wasn't much farther up either. I have never played golf before, so it was
That's
not a pretty sight, but hey, I was able to hit it a couple times.
that is a tough one
Yeah.
for sure.
What was really fun, since I was kind of on job duty as well, going around and recording some of the guys and their golf swings. There were some very interesting swings. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus and mention their names, but there were some good ones. There were some good laughs that night.
I bet there was. We got a live chat in here already, and somebody in the chat would like to know. Remind me who got first at Top Golf, Rich. Connor would love to know who got first.
The man, the legend, the graphic, like God, whose desk I'm sitting at, Connor Martin, man, that dude can swing a golf club. It was crazy. You know, when you see like pro baseball players step up to those tees and they swing and the ball just, I mean, you can't even see the ball, but you know it hits the back net. I mean, that's
Oh
Connor.
yeah,
Like every time, just boom, boom, boom. It was
regular run
good.
up, no Happy Gilmore run up.
I tried that once,
It's a
and
lot tougher than you think it is.
yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm excited to hear how Connor's golf outing went today, though, because I heard he hit the links with Darren and Coach Ian. So I want to hear how that went. But
Nice.
um, hopefully, I'll hear some of that tomorrow when we get to chat. Well, what are you drinking tonight? Oh, you said
Yep,
water. That's right.
just water. What about you? What are you drinking, Rich?
I'm going back to the Southbound Mountain Jam. Let me
Right.
get out of the light. Yeah. This the one from Savannah? Yeah, this is one from Savannah.
Yeah, the Southern Lager.
The lager. Yeah, you're right. Yep, Southern Lager. So yeah, that's what I'm going with tonight.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Gotta love it. Well, let's why don't we just jump right into it here? We've got quite a few pieces of news before we get into the league matches and everything like that. The biggest one is definitely Brooklyn FC's move to USL Championship. Um, it was mentioned by HudsonRiverBlue.com last week in the article, and USL HQ finally confirmed it today. Um, as as a fan of a team in League One right now, that's a little sad. But as a fan of a team that is proposed to move up to the championship, um, that's pretty cool. I I'm upset at it happening because that was a big market. happy to see that they're not folding. They're just deciding to go up to championship,
Yeah.
but definitely disappointed that we won't have the opportunity down here in League One to get up to Brooklyn or see our teams play in historic Coney Island. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's mixed because I wanted them to come into League One. Obviously, with their budget, with their media market, they should be in championship. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm just glad that they chose USL.
mhm,
They could have gone to some of these other organizations, but they chose USL, and I think that's a win in and of itself.
yeah, I agree with that.
But
Uh,
I would still love to go to that stadium to watch a match someday.
for sure. You're a lot closer where you're at now, so it might be a possibility for you in the future.
Yeah, it'll be a flight up there. So I'll have to schedule that out in the future. But yeah, I want to make it happen.
Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media wants to know: did we ever look up exactly what a Southern lager is?
Ooh, you know what? While you move to the next bullet point, let me do some quick research.
Sure. So the next piece of news we got is something that we like to talk about on this show, and that's kit releases. More kits got released in the past week. Forward Madison's away kit. It's named quote Rhythm of the Lakes unquote. Knoxville's Mountain Kit 2.0, and Chattanooga unveiled both kits at a public event. Um, then we got the Lexington One Crest One Club. So I mean, out of all of these, for me, Forward Madison's takes the cake. I mean, it's a classic look. You got the pinks and the blues on a primarily white kit. Again, Madison just don't miss. Their kits just don't. Um, Not really much more to say about Madison's other than yeah, it's a Madison kit. It looks good.
Yeah, it's gonna suck seeing them come to Statesboro this weekend because it's like, damn, you're good and you look good while you play good. Like, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just keep knocking it out of the park with their designs. I really like it. I like the detail on the collar, how it has that sort of like sound like file amplitude thing going
Mm-hmm.
on. I think that's a cool effect. But yeah, I do like the that sort of rhythm aspect that you see throughout the design. I really like One Knox's mountain kit. Now they
Mm-hmm.
did do one last season, but they released another one this season, and it's another good one. I wouldn't mind getting that one. I did look on their website. I know I mentioned this last week. I'm gonna jump on it this week because they still have the sunset kit.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that it was down to like 65 bucks or something like that, and they have my
Ooh,
size, so I'm jumping on that. And they have a scarf that I'm gonna get too.
beautiful.
Yeah. What was the other one that we had here? Oh, Chattanooga. Yeah, they revealed both of their kits at a public event. The keeper one is bright and dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It looks cool. I like the away kit, how it's white with the solid stripes going down.
Mm-hmm.
But I almost wonder if there's a little bit of a Richmond influence in there because of the reflective lettering that's on the front of the jersey.
Oh no. Are we
Yeah,
gonna have another number geek going on this season?
exactly.
I can't handle it, man.
Poor
I,
Ross Davenport's already having a seizure. Yeah, poor guy. But yeah, you mentioned Lexington with their one crest, one club.
mm-hmm.
I love that idea because with the addition to the women's team under the Lexington Sporting Club umbrella, having them play using the same logo,
Mm-hmm.
everything like that, same crest, same shield, all that stuff. I love it. Why would it be any other way than that? I mean, I love it when there's a women's team and a men's team that shares this the same shield and all that kind of stuff. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely really cool to see, and something else that is just it it just kind of cements that Lexington is in this for the long haul. Um, it's something that they're gonna continue to do year after year. So, um, and you can tell that they take it serious. So,
Yeah.
I think it's cool to see it under the umbrella. Um, but I will also say we did have um, another team reveal that wasn't on here that is in Richmond, Virginia. The Richmond Ivy
Yeah.
that came out. I think that was this morning, but that kit is, if you haven't seen it yet, gorgeous, and
Yeah.
the theme fits perfectly with the team name.
And they just had that team public event, what, last night?
I think it was last night, yeah. So I saw the
Yeah.
images and everything this morning. So
Alex Ashton was there, League One updater, and then River City 93 was there.
hmm
I'm trying to think of who else might have been there, but we were getting all the coverage from it. It was awesome to see the pictures and hear some of the words coming out of that event. It looked like a great event to be at.
yeah, it's really cool.
And then we have our first set of international call-ups. Uh, looks like we have some the international windows coming up here. I think just in a couple days, really. And this is the first round of announcements. We're certainly going to be hearing more than that. But the first one is coming out of Greenville with Hassan Gabo. I hope I'm saying that name right, but he's out of Somalia. They're already doing qualifiers for AFCON 2025.
Jeez, that is
That's
insane.
crazy. Yeah,
I mean that. I mean, I know Afcon is a huge one, but like over a year in advance, like I mean, what is this? The World Cup? Are we playing qualifiers already? I mean, I
yeah,
guess I just don't pay that close attention to um, all the extra like competitions that go on um, for national teams. But I mean, that seems like it's crazy. But then if I think about it a little bit, like, oh well, maybe it's not that crazy. I think I've probably heard that a few times that they do start quite early, and I guess it's just because the windows are so far apart from each other. If I had to
yeah.
guess.
But hearing that AFCON is already having qualifiers, and even hearing that their tournament is next year is so exciting because I love um, the AFCON. Like it's so much fun to watch.
hmm It's definitely. Oh.
And oh, I want to go over because I saw you raise your hand, so I started looking into the YouTube live stuff, and so I had to go in there to see what you were raising your hand about.
hmm
Rico coming in here saying, "Hand up if your Euro team is in the quarterfinals of a Euro competition." I get to raise my hand too.
A lot of people. We
Villa with
got
that 4-0 victory over Ajax this afternoon.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Ajax is a tough team every single year. Obviously, they'll have up and down kind of years, but they're always at least competitive. So, congrats
yeah.
to Villa on that for sure.
Thank you. I just wish they'd have done better against Connor Martin's Tottenham over the weekend.
Uh, yeah, I wish they would have done better against Tottenham as well because I'm obviously Liverpool doesn't have a like super rivalry with them, but it's still always nice to see Tottenham lose.
Yeah. And to go back to Ranting Blue Penguins question about the Southern Lager, the answer literally said it's open to interpretation. So it's an unofficial beer style, open to interpretation. So basically, you can make of it whatever you want it to be.
hmm
Yeah, but it's good. I'll tell you that.
That's all that really matters, honestly.
Yeah, this would be a really good one for like summertime.
Ooh, I love to hear that.
Yeah,
Summertime beers are the best beers.
Yes, they are.
Let's see. Ooh, Connor asking what our favorite of the new kits is. I don't know if mine's
Ooh.
Madison. I think I probably already kind of gave away the farm on that one, but yeah.
Hmm.
Michael saying he could never
Yeah.
justify buying another club in the same league's kit.
Yeah, I'll go with Madison as well. That's a good one.
I think so.
Although I wouldn't complain about um naming Chattanooga's away kit too, because that looks pretty good.
Hmm.
And I mean, and One Knox's
They're all
Mountain 2.0 kit. Yeah, they're
they're
good.
all
Dang it.
really good. There's not
They are.
one. There's not a team in this league where I look at their kit and I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Yet,
There's only
yet.
one where I feel that way. And everyone else on Twitter and social media was absolutely head over heels for it. So I didn't say anything because I didn't want to yuck on everybody else's yum. So I'm just gonna stand quietly in the corner while everybody else celebrates.
Sure. Yeah, I know which one it is. And the way you sent me the text message about it, I was like, oh no, this has got to be horrible. And then I saw it and I was like, oh, I mean, I don't see it, man. I think it looks okay. So
Hmm.
I think you might be the minority there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I am.
Uh, Geo wants us to just say it, what team that is. So irony is a funny thing, and we'll just leave it at that. Um,
Yep.
oh, what else do we got? Both NoCo Trinidad forwards both got called up as well. So Rico coming in letting us know that both of
Oh,
NoCo's
really?
Trinidad and Tobago forwards were called up. So
Hey, that's cool.
got some more. I love it. Um, Tim Ranting Blue Penguin Media saying Villa, we scored 4 goals. Liverpool, haha, that's cute. Liverpool scored 6 goals today. Granted, it was against Sparta, so they won the leg in aggregate 11-2. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, not a perennial powerhouse team that they were playing, but
Man.
fair enough. From there, dry hops and corn seems to be a theme though for the Southern Loggers.
Yep.
And Rico saying they learned their lesson from having kits who are impossible to view on TV. Yes, Richmond definitely did from that one.
Yeah.
Gio saying he knew it. He knew exactly what kit you were talking about. And Michael saying One Knox's away kit is a pine cone. That came to mind when I first saw it too. I guess it's a dome in there
It's the
in
Sun
the
Sphere.
city. Yeah, okay.
So I learned from somebody who's from Knoxville who's one of our interns. She said it's one of the most iconic buildings in the skyscape of Knoxville.
Oh, solid. I love it then.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because okay, for you and I, when I see that shape, I think, oh, it's corn. But I can
Corn.
see how others would think it's an acorn or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's Sun Sphere
I
there in
saw
Knoxville.
Desert Dome. Being in
Okay,
Omaha,
yeah,
I
there's a
saw
little bit of
Desert
that.
Dome.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
sure it's the same like style building as the Desert Dome, but
Yeah.
something like that, you know.
Speaking of Desert Dome, did you see that Henry Doorly was named the number one zoo in the country for the second year in a row?
Second year in a row, yeah. And it's not the
Yeah.
first time the Omaha Zoo has been voted number one, but with the new additions they've recently done, they pump so much money into that place.
Yeah.
I'm like super spoiled and like I have a zoo pass, so I go quite a bit. So when I go, it's kind of like, oh, yep, this is cool. This is something to do. And then I forget that people that haven't been to the Omaha Zoo probably walk into that place and are like, holy shit, this is really cool.
Yeah.
A little spoiled in that, I guess. Luke Martin coming in saying, good news, Rich. Summer in Statesboro is from April to October, so plenty of time for your summer lager.
and I hear it's brutal too.
And Geo saying Omaha's kit would fail a blacklight test. Do they have owls at the zoo? Rico wants to know. I think so.
You would have to.
I think they do. I'm trying to
If not,
think.
then you just have to go to Fontenelle Forest.
Yeah. Fontenelle, yeah, they have the raptor rescue out there, and I know they have owls because they bring them out to the matches all the time.
Yep.
So, jeez, the YouTube chat has just evolved into now we're talking about owls and zoos.
I love it.
This is what I love. Our chat is full of it's beer, soccer kits, and zoos, and making fun of each other's teams. This is exactly what I had envisioned when we started doing live shows on YouTube.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And smelly flamingos. Michael
Smelly
saying you all
flamingo.
have zoos. Question mark. Michael, do you not have one where you're at? Huh. Anyway, we can move on. We can move on. We'll jump back into the live chats at some point for sure though.
Yeah. All right. So we have our first deep dive of the 2024 season. We weren't able to get all of the deep dives done, but we did get one of them. So we're just going to carry over some of these deep dives for future weeks, and we'll just keep that train rolling. So this week's deep dive is all about how expansion sides have fared when they enter League One. So obviously, League One started in 2019. So those are all the founding teams.
Mhm.
Every team that has come in since then, we looked at um, we looked at their first home result, their first away result, their first 5 matches, their first 5 home match results, first 5 away match results, how long it took them to get their first win, the most consecutive wins and most consecutive losses in their inaugural season in League One. So we certainly did a deep dive into all this. Now, obviously, we can't throw Spokane in here for 2024 because they don't, apply to all of the stats that we're looking at. But the
Sorry,
biggest
Gio.
takeaways, what's that?
I said sorry, Gio. That was the first thing that he said is let's hear about Spokane, please.
Oh, they do take part in one of the random takeaways that we have here. One takeaway that we have from all the stats that we looked at, no team has ever opened their season with a win at home and a win on the road. So your first win at home and a first win on the road has never happened. Um, we have had teams who have drawn both, who have won or drawn the other. We've never had a club who has won both of those outings. And that streak is still alive because Spokane's loss to Greenville, Geo. And then Union Omaha is the only club to open their franchise record undefeated in their first 5 matches. On the flip side, North Carolina is the only club to open their time in the USL League One winless in their first 5 matches. And then there are only 2 clubs who have won their first match in club history. So the very first time they take the field in League One, they had a victory. And those clubs were Central Valley Fuego and One Knox.
Very nice.
Yeah. And by and large, like when you look at the how long it took each of these clubs to get their first win, it was usually within the first 5 matches. They eventually find their first win.
Hmm.
The outlier on that one is North Carolina. In their first season in League One, they had to wait until their 8th match to finally get a win in the league.
That's rough, man.
Yeah,
That was in 21. That was also a year where there were some damn good teams, especially at the top of the table.
yeah.
I'd say the number one and Since Gio's here, we'll go ahead and say the number 2 team that year was also pretty decent, I guess. Not good
Yeah.
enough, but pretty decent.
So yeah, we put all that data together just for that short snippet of a deep dive. But we do have the data here. It's interesting to look at. Trying to pull some other random takeaways here. There have only been two teams who have gone winless in their first five away matches.
Ooh.
Once again, North Carolina, and then last year's Lexington.
Hmm. What I think is really interesting with the first 5 home matches, I mean, there's some teams on here like, um, Fort Lauderdale, New England Revs, right? So 2 teams that eventually went on to be, um, MLS Next Pro. Um, their first 5 home matches, they did not fare very well. Obviously, we know Revs 2 were not a very good team, and neither was, uh, the other one. I mean, 3 wins combined between the first 2 in their first 5 home matches, and 5 defeats and 2 draws between the 2. It's just not great.
Yeah. Oh, here's another takeaway. So we said that no one has won their first home and their first away match. Only one club has lost both of those, and that was North Carolina.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that people seem to forget NCFC was a doormat for the first couple seasons in League One.
Yes, they
So,
were.
and then it took the big spending for them to become a big boy. Imagine that. A sports league where there is no hard cap on your salary. You pay the most money, you have the best team. Weird.
Yep. And the team with the most consecutive wins in their first season in League One was New England Revolution 2. They had 4 consecutive wins, but at the same time, they had 4 consecutive losses as well.
Yeah, I'm not really sold at all on Revs 2, but
Yeah.
I will say that was really fun to go to a match and see that you probably had 3 points for at least 2 of the teams
Yeah.
that season. So,
Yep. All right. So that is this week's deep dive. We have a few others that are going to be coming down the pipe, and we have some good ideas. And I love it when we're talking about these deep dives that we're going to be doing, and then people throw suggestions our way because it continues to generate more ideas on things to look at, how to examine it, what angle you want to look at, and all that kind of stuff. I love it when people throw suggestions our way about things to look at and I don't know, ideas for future episodes. It's
yeah, I
fun.
love it. Keep doing it. We will keep covering it for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the week 1 recap.
We don't have to talk about this first match at all, do we? I don't want to give a certain person in the live chat the recognition. Of course, we'll talk about it. I
Just
think
for you, Gio.
yeah, I think you guys can figure out who it is. Greenville and Spokane.
Yeah.
Um, all 3 of the matches this weekend were on Saturday night. This was the first match, quote unquote first match. We had 2 that kicked off at the same time, and the third kicked off half an hour later. So again, USL, please come on, spread them out a little bit, please. Um, the match ended in favor of Greenville, 3-1 over Spokane. Rich and I both picked Spokane to go down to Greenville and beat them. My prediction was 2-0 Spokane, and Rich's was 3-0 Spokane. You guys, the fans, actually got this one right. 50% chose a Greenville W.
Yep.
38% said a draw, and 11.5% bet on Spokane. So, uh, hey, I guess the fans knew this one for sure.
And the biggest takeaway here for me is the fact that Greenville had an XG that was half that of Spokane.
Mhm.
Spokane was able to get things started in the 14th minute with a penalty kick from Josh Doling, but from there, it was all Greenville.
Mhm.
There were some back and forth moments here, but I mean, if you're looking at the stats, I mean, it was all Greenville.
It
Spokane
was.
had opportunities, they just couldn't finish them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't see it going this way. I think I was definitely low on Greenville this season. I don't know that I'm ready to write them as one of the great teams this season. And it's not really a slight to them or to Spokane, but it is. You did beat an expansion side at home, so that takes a little something into it. But definitely did not expect Greenville to put 3 up. That's not something we're used to seeing a Greenville team do. So, I mean, is this the start of a new year for or a new era for Greenville Triumph Soccer? That could be scary if so. You take that championship winning defensive DNA and add an attack to it. That's a scary team.
I love how we're sitting here talking about how Greenville won the match, and then we're like, "Well, yeah, but"
I mean, if we go based on the statistics of how expansion sides do in their first season, there has been one outlier that has done well in their first season as an expansion club
Yeah,
in all of the years and all of the expansion teams. So um, that kind of tempers it, but it does not take anything away from this Greenville win because Greenville came out and just dominated the halves of the field. So
yeah.
your left and right halves, they were inside of Spokane's half of the field for the majority of the match and just were out on the wings taking advantage of Spokane, which I think we also said that was a key to this match when we talked about it as
We
well.
did.
So, I don't remember if we said that it was going to be Greenville doing it to Spokane or Spokane doing it to Greenville, but um
I think I said it was Spokane doing it to Greenville.
yeah, I think that's something you would have had to do against a Greenville team. But yeah, they definitely took advantage of the outsides of the field and Spokane's inability to kind of break them down. Um, I mean, there's some of the play from Spokane was promising, but the majority of that match they just kind of looked a little bit sloppy and disjointed, in my opinion. I mean, that also comes along with being an expansion side, playing against um, playing against a Greenville team that's been around since the inception of the league. So,
Yeah. And with that history from Greenville, Zion Scarlett, when he scored in the 18th minute, he became the youngest player to score a goal for Greenville in club history.
beautiful.
Had the assist from Nate Schultz. Got to
Hmm.
give him a shout out too. And this was all building up because in the 48th minute, you had Evan Lee with the unassisted goal. In the 60th minute, this is where it hit. We have a gorgeous, beautiful goal right there. In, I mean, he was inside the goal area.
Hmm.
Um, we have Leo Castro getting a service from Lyle McKinnon. And this was just like a behind the back type of a goal here. I mean, it was smooth.
Hmm.
He made it look good.
Yeah, that is not a oh that is not an easy shot to make in that position,
Yeah.
and just how effortlessly Castro just kind of flicked that ball on with a back heel. It didn't even look like he looked to make sure it went in.
Yeah.
I swear it was one of those cool guys don't look at explosions moment, and he just walked away. Just knew.
That's perfect.
He just had to have known. You know, it's the Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man when those missiles come down. Just
Yep.
turns around. So cool. Definitely an early goal of the year candidate for that one. However, Leo, don't get too excited about that because last season there was also a very early goal of the year candidate that didn't actually end up winning goal of the year somehow. So, uh, not to not to throw anything into your Cheerios there, but so far, if that is going to be one of my best goals of the season already, I can tell you that.
Yeah. When it came to time to choose the goal of the week for week one, how is there any debate about who to choose?
There's no,
Yeah, there wasn't even a debate.
now I'm a Greenville hater, and I even had to vote for that one because come on, no way, no way is there a one that's better than that. I think either a goalie goal or a scorpion kick goal would be the only ways you could beat that one. It was just that smooth.
Yep. So this was Greenville's largest victory since June of 2023. And I do not have my notebook in here, so I can't look that up. But we were able to find that information on the league website. So Rick Wright is off to a strong start.
Mhm.
Now we mentioned earlier that there was a bit of a discrepancy between the XG of Greenville and Spokane. So how did this happen?
Oh, I honestly, I don't know. I
Was
Greenville just does stuff, man. I mean, they didn't win the possession battle. Um, they didn't even have a better success rate for their duels. The only thing that they were better on than Spokane was aerial duels and offsides. Those are the only two statistical categories that they did better than Spokane in, other than the final score, obviously. Um, but I mean, Greenville just finds ways to win matches. They are one of those teams that can just do that. And I don't understand. I mean, I really don't understand XG for the most part or G plus stats. But to me, I mean, Spokane had a lot of shots go awry. So I mean, I understand that by all rights they probably should have had one more, but they still lose the match even with one more. And there, I mean, there were definitely parts of this match where it looked like Spokane was going to get the upper hand and kind of wrestle back some momentum from Greenville. Uh, but then just both of Greenville's goals came at the perfect time to quell any momentum that Spokane was building.
So you mentioned that Spokane had a lot of shots go awry. They had 19 shots, but only 5 of them were on target.
hmm I think two of them were off the post as well.
And 13 of their 19 shots were inside the box.
Oof.
Yeah. And that jumps off the the film when you're watching. I mean, they were routinely pressing on Greenville and they were able to get in there and put some pressure on goal.
hmm
There were some scary moments there for Greenville, but they were able to get through it. So for me, Lyle McKinnon was the star of the show for Greenville.
hmm
Um, and then obviously I would have to say Josh Doling for Spokane. I mean the goal scorer and all that kind of stuff. But
For sure.
um, I even liked what I was seeing from Camarnie Smith
Mhm.
on the right side of the field. I mean, I thought he had some good attacks, and I thought he had a good presence over there, and he was attacking well, but um, just wasn't able to make it happen on the scoreboard.
Yeah,
So was this so was this more about Greenville's um I don't know, experience and veteran, style of play in League One, or is this Spokane's nerves? Is it a combination of both?
I think for me in this one, it was definitely a little bit of both. Being an expansion side is hard, obviously for these players, and you could kind of tell with all of those shots that they took, and so few of them being on target, even though they were in the box a lot. I think that just shows more nerves than anything else. Something that they'll be able to kind of quell and settle down before the end of the season. So I fully expect Spokane to be fine moving forward. It'll take a little bit for them to get rolling, but when it rolls, that's a good team. And then obviously Greenville came in and basically tried to shut down the haters, saying that with Harks being gone, that this team was going to fall. I believe in the preseason rankings they had them at ninth. So I know a lot of Greenville fans took offense to that, and apparently the team took offense to that as well. So they came out swinging. These are two good teams, and it'll be interesting to see going forward how they build off of for Greenville the momentum and how Spokane kind of rebounds from this loss, and how
Yeah,
that and how their forwards aren't have got to put this those misses out of their mind and just move forward.
yeah. For Greenville, this was the I don't want to say it was the perfect start for their season, but it was the it was such a positive way for them to start their season to have what seemed to be everything stacked against them and yet still prevailing in the end. And yeah, this was also one of those matches where Spokane fans can walk away saying, okay, well, we didn't win, but there was a lot of things that were looking good on that page.
Hmm.
Um, so when Wiedemann goes back to look at Spokane's film, he may not like the final score, but he's gonna like some of the stuff that he sees on that screen. Like you were saying, they were able to get into the box. So his tactics on offense are working. They're getting into the box, they're taking a lot of shots. They need to work on their finishing, yes.
Hmm.
But if you're able to press on a quality team like Greenville that early in the season, right out the gates, and have that kind of success. Now, granted, there's different definitions of success at the end of the day. This is still a positive experience for Spokane. I Even though you didn't leave town with any points, there's that's not anything to be ashamed of. You're still going home with a good experience under your belt.
Yeah, I agree.
And to go with what you were just saying, how they were using bulletin board material in the post match interview, Evan Lee was even uh, coming down on the naysayers.
Hmm. Yeah, and kind of called everybody out. So I mean, he didn't name any names, but definitely, I think everybody kind of knows who he was talking talking to and talking about. You know, there's quite a few podcasts and other media sources about the league that did not have Greenville high on their preseason rankings. So
Yep.
good though. I mean, that's exactly what the reason that I wanted to get into this, and it's really cool to see that players and front office staff and owners and everything like that do listen and do pay attention to the content creators out here. So,
Yeah. Yeah. There are some clubs who don't listen to any of that kind of stuff. They don't use any of that bulletin board material. There are other clubs who use a lot of that as their motivation. And so I love how we can have that balance, but at the same time, I love the fact that there are clubs who are paying attention to the articles that are being written, the interviews that are happening, the podcasts that are happening. It I mean, it's cool. I
Hmm.
like it.
Definitely.
And I'm okay with him throwing us under the bus. We deserve it because we predicted a Spokane win, and now we're sitting here eating crow. So there it is.
Right. Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media saying, "Wait, you mean they encourage these creators and don't revoke your access?" Yes, we don't get access revoked for speaking our mind about the teams. No.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
Tim also saying Crow pairs well with Southern Lager.
It does.
That's good because we're eating it.
Yep. And as we look at both of the clubs, both of the let's see, Greenville, they aren't at home this weekend, are they? Uh, they are not. They don't even play this weekend. Yeah. Okay. So never mind. But the biggest news coming out of Greenville is their Star Wars night, which is going to be April 6th at 7 p.m. For $30, you can get one general admission ticket and exclusive Star Wars t-shirts to go along with that ticket. So that's cool. Show up and sell out Paladin Stadium for that one. That's going to be fun.
Oh, for sure.
And then the other big news coming out of Greenville, 5 players on team of the week, as well as Coach Wright getting coach of the week.
Hmm.
Huge week for Greenville.
Yeah. I won't poo poo it too much. I will say there were 3 matches this week, but there we go.
Man, when you say you're a Greenville hater, you're not shying away from it.
I'm an equal opportunity hater.
There you go. Yep.
There there's room in my hate locker for every other team that's not Union Omaha. Or when Union Omaha does dumb things, they also go in that locker. So they're not immune from it either. And if Omaha fails to meet my expectations this season, they'll definitely be in there as well.
Yeah. Well, as far as Spokane news, most of that's going to be geared toward this weekend's matchup. So we have all that to preview later. But our next match from Saturday evening was a scoreless draw between Lexington and Northern Colorado.
Yeah, didn't pick this one either.
Yep.
Uh, but neither did the fans. So
Yep.
we're safe on this one, I guess.
Yeah, this one was a wash.
Yeah, fans predicted 51% saying a Lexington win, 36% a Northern Colorado win, but 12% of you out there that voted did get it correct. So 12.1% picked a draw and got it right. This this match to me was, I like defensive battles. Um, I think it's really cool when teams come out and are able to play this type of match that just grind it out. Um, just playing all out and playing really hard. I think it's fun to watch. Not a lot of people do, but um, I mean, this was definitely a defensive battle with only 17 total shots and only 5 total shots on target. So neither of these teams really offensively doing a whole lot, which is insane because these are two of last season's very offensive minded teams.
Yeah. And with all the hype that Lexington had coming into this season, there was a lot of anticipation to see what their offense was going to be all about, how high scoring they were going to be, and all that. We didn't
Hmm.
see that.
No,
They had chances, but for an entire 90 minutes of this match, they only had one shot on target. And you're not going to win matches like that,
no, not at all. Not in this league. No.
especially especially against clubs like Northern Colorado.
Mhm. Yeah, one thing that really stuck out to me was kind of the difference in these 2 teams is, not necessarily approach, but their their drive to get down the field. Neither team looked really that great moving forward with the ball. The ball stayed in the midfield a lot for this match. This was a heavy, heavy defensive midfield battle. Um, just just crazy that the match ended up being or feeling as kind of sloppy as it did. Um, I mean, passing accuracy for everybody was decently high. It just seemed like there wasn't that polish that we're used to seeing with especially Northern Colorado. And in spurts with Lexington last season. Granted, it's probably has to do with being the first match of the season, and roster turnover for both of these teams. But to me, it just these two teams looked like two teams that were okay with drawing this match.
A huge stat for me in this match was recoveries in the attacking third. Um, Let me see here. Only one from Northern Colorado, which is pretty dramatic considering who was up top for Hailstorm last season and how much havoc they created as they pushed up the field. They only had one recovery in the final third, whereas Lexington had seven. So Lexington has that high press. They're gonna force turnovers. And if they have the ball, they lose it. You're guaranteed you better get rid of the ball quickly because they're gonna hunt you down.
Hmm.
And that puts the league on notice right there. That if you're a defender who just stole a ball from someone from Lexington, yeah, you don't have much time to react. Get the ball away and live to see another day.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely one to watch out for as we get further into the season. I think both of these teams are going to kind of grow into themselves, and I think we'll see the kind of teams we expect to see out of both of these. I think it really is kind of a disservice to have these two potential top playoff teams play each other for the first match of the season. Um, but then again, you can only play who's in front of you. And to me, it just looks like it came down to a lot of both of these teams didn't want to make a mistake. They didn't want to get somebody hurt. They didn't want to overexert themselves in this match, it seemed like. So I mean, in retrospect, kind of a boring match if you're not a defensive fan, but then again, it just shows the physicality of this league as well because there were quite a few yellow cards in this
Mhm.
match. I accidentally closed my window. Give me 1 second. I had it pulled up. Yeah, so 25 fouls in this match and 5 yellow cards in this one. So definitely two teams that are going to play very, very physically.
I love how Rico over at Linners and Woozers is already calling for Darren Powell to be sacked. He's in the live chat saying, "Sack Darren Powell right now, right now, unacceptable."
Oh man. Uh, I mean, if we go just based on XG, Lexington had the most chances to get a score in this one. Never ended up coming through. Um, One thing that we didn't touch on in the last one, but the attendances this week were not very high for any team.
Yeah,
Unfortunate. We'll touch on it. I think we have a question about it that came up earlier tonight, so we'll get to it when we get to the questions. But um, in the future, I will be continuing my attendance gathering and trying to find out who gets the regular season crown for attendance as we move.
Hmm. And we see that they had a final draw of 0-0. Do you think this was a missed opportunity for Lexington? Do you think Northern Colorado is walking away with this one happy to get a point? I mean, how what are your thoughts?
I think anytime in this league, when you go on the road and you get a point, that's your standard of winning, quote unquote. Not a win in the win column or in the points, but when you go on the road, if you can steal a point, that's always great. And if you take care of business at home, you're set up to be a playoff caliber team. So um, I feel like Northern Colorado probably comes out of there feeling pretty good about themselves, especially with all the hype in the offseason of Lexington. I think Colorado's going to feel great. I don't feel like Lexington's going to feel that bad about this. They walk away with a point, and they got to showcase a little bit of their abilities, but didn't showcase too much of it. Yes, it would have been great for them to get the win, um, but it's going to take time with all the guys they brought in this season. I think once it gets going, Lexington is going to be another case of one of these teams where it's just going to take a little bit of time to get rolling, but when it gets rolling, it'll be good. Um, and I don't expect Northern Colorado to have as bad of an offensive showing as they did in this one and in any of their matches for the rest of the season. I think this was just more of a nerves first game of the season. We'll see how it goes, but I don't expect them to be getting a lot of .39 expected goals in their entire
Yeah.
season. So,
They still seem committed to that long pass style on their offense.
mhm. Yeah.
And so it's going to be interesting to see who takes on that new role from Trevor Ammon from last season. It's also going to be interesting to see how they adjust to clubs like, say, Ford Madison, who plays that sort of that fluid. The wingers are really busy up and down the flanks, but they play that like 3-5-2 setup. So if you have a crowded mid, and we even saw that from Fuego, we'll talk about them in just a moment.
Mhm.
But a crowded midfield like that, trying to do long passes up to the top line, it's not going to work out so well.
Yeah, to your point, Rich, they had 335 total passes. That is Northern Colorado. 65 of them were long passes.
Wow,
And that is 12 more than Lexington with 53.
wow,
And I think that kind of shows as well because passing accuracy in this one, Lexington was sitting up at 85% passing accuracy in this match, and Northern Colorado at 77.
hmm,
Granted, if you want to be a hit them on the run type of team, your passing accuracy is going to be a little bit lower, obviously. Long passes are harder to hit, but when they hit, they hit. I'll give it that. It is just definitely a pick your poison style of offense. I'll be interested to see how it goes for the rest of the season for them. I don't expect them to change it, kind of like what you were talking about, but um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. These were two teams that came into this probably wanting a win, but would be okay with a draw. That's how it
yeah,
seemed anyway.
yeah, I think you're right. We spoke a little bit about Lexington newsworthy items earlier in the show, but it looks like the Lexington Sporting Club youth teams and the Railbirds are going to be taking part in the Patrick's Day Parade this weekend.
Oh, awesome.
The men's first team players will be at the festival throughout the day for meet and greets and autographs. That'll be cool.
Wow. Perfect.
Yeah. So head over to the Henry A. Tandy Centennial Park, downtown Lexington, this Saturday for a chance to see those people and get those autographs and pictures and all that stuff.
Heck yeah.
I got to give a shout out to Lexington's front office, man. Their social media has been really good lately. And I've even heard other people in the front office here talking about how they've stepped their game up this season. They do a good job over there.
Yeah, it definitely
And
seems that.
they did a good job with their kit design too.
Yeah, there's not a bad kit in the league yet. All right, should we move on to Central Valley Fuego at
Sure.
South Georgia Tormenta?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this one, the fans did not get either. So,
This was a clean sweep across the board. You, me, fans, we all thought that Tormenta was going to win it.
yeah, 69%.
Yeah.
Nice. Pick Tormenta.
Nice. Yeah.
24% picked to draw, and that 6.9% of you, I think I have in mind the 6.9% of people that picked Central Valley Fuego to win this match. And it's good. I mean, good pick. Good pick for you guys.
Yeah.
This was definitely the most entertaining, in my opinion, match
Yeah.
of the
This turned
weekend.
out to be the chaos match of the week.
Yeah. um, I mean, it started super early. In, in the first minute, um, Rich, I'm gonna let you do it. You know it. You work for the
Yeah.
club. It's
First
yours.
minute of play, Tavio Dalmeida gets called for a handball in the box. Now, I didn't see it live because as soon as I finished my reads, my head was down. I was preparing for the next round of responsibilities and everything. All of a sudden, you hear a whistle. I pick my head up. I look out there, and they're already like getting things set up for the PK. And so I'm thinking, like, what the heck just happened? So when I finally got around to seeing the film, yeah, the ball hits his hand, and I don't think he does himself any favors because he kind of throws his arm back behind his body, and his body stiffens up a little bit. When you do a combination of those movements, you're gonna look guilty.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was unfortunate, especially with him in his first League One match. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. He's a good
Yeah.
guy.
In the first
I
minute,
really
I
like him.
mean, that is super tough in the first minute.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to overcome. Soup Loop saying should have shut my mouth last week about penalty kicks. And then Tim saying, no way, Tormenta got called for a penalty in a match. What? Solid. Yes. Very much on brand for South Georgia Tormenta. Um,
Yep.
and then the person who converted the PK was Mo Espinoza. I'm
Yeah.
huge on him. I have been for every single year. It's really cool to see that he went to a team like Central Valley Fuego, who is seemingly going to be all out offense this season. So
Yeah.
he's going to be one definitely you need to watch in the system that Jones is playing with over there.
When I was able to watch the portions of the match that I could, I kept looking out there thinking, "Who is this Fuego team? This is not the Fuego team that we were supposed to be playing."
No.
And man, Jermaine Jones, Coach Jones coming in here and throwing his all-out attack, high press. So I don't know that he was necessarily attacking super high, but if you look at the initial point of pressure for his strikers and the way that the midfield supported them by cutting off angles, filling gaps, rotating across back and forth across the field as the ball was swung across the defense, that
Hmm.
midfield was looking good.
Yeah.
And they were working really well with the top line.
Hmm.
Full credit to them. They looked good.
Yeah. They definitely did. There's something about this team that is different, and I just have to really wonder with the amount of running and the amount of energy put out by this team in this match, I just really wonder how sustainable that is for the entire season
Yeah,
because those guys were playing hard, the entire time. Um, and they had to do a lot of defending. They only had 33% of possession in this match.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it when you have to work that hard on defense, it's definitely going to be something that you're going to have to look out for. Um, and I mean, with this all-out attack that they really put out, something else to be looking out for is they didn't pass the ball particularly well, um, and they gave away quite a bit. 58% passing accuracy for Fuego in this match compared to Tormenta's 80%.
hmm
It's definitely two separate styles of soccer going at each other. Um, and it that all out attack and counter attacking has been successful in League One in the past, but with more and more teams moving to a possession style play, you really have to be watching to see how Fuego is going to be able to dial in their passes a little bit better because if they don't get passing accuracy higher, that is one thing that all of the great counterattacking teams in this league have done. They haven't had a whole lot of possession, but they pass the ball extremely well. So that'll definitely be something that we'll have to keep an eye on moving forward for Fuego. And in this one, another thing that sticks out, obviously Fuego's attack sticks out big time, but super disappointing to see uh Tormenta's defensive identity kind of just disappear. Um, there was not a whole lot that Tormenta could do to stop Central Valley from getting into and around the box. And that's not something we're used to seeing from that back line with Tormenta at all.
yeah. They were winning the aerial duels, but it's almost as if by winning the aerial duel, the second ball was hurting them more than the initial service was.
Mm.
Which brings me to another point that I really found. I mean, I don't want to use the word enjoyable to watch, but um, it was one thing that Fuego was doing well. As I was just mentioning with their midfield, they were crowding the middle of the field. So you
Hmm.
could not work through the middle of the field. They were canceling out Tormenta's midfield there. But another thing that they were doing was not only were they the top line in the midfield working well, but the midfield was sneaking up and advancing into that half space to cut off even more angles. Um, so those two lines working in close conjunction with each other just was such a good defensive setup for them that Tormenta was almost forced to just swing the ball back and forth, trying to find some sort of a weak point in that setup to try to move up the field. And it was unfortunate that they weren't able to do it as often as they wanted to.
Hmm.
But I mean, once again, credit to Fuego for playing those tactics and sticking to them.
Hmm. Yeah, this it was. If you're a Central Valley Fuego fan, you can take a lot of good things from the first, say, probably 75 minutes of this match. But there are also some things that should alarm you. With Tormenta's ability for the last 15 minutes of the match to get their goal and to look very dangerous and just have a little bit of an issue finishing some loose balls in the box. There was a couple instances where Tormenta had chances on second chance balls that were in the box that just didn't get converted. So that is one thing that they really need to work on is finishing out matches, and those second balls will come back to haunt them if they can't get those shored up with the goalkeeping and defensive line. Got to get those balls out because we've seen it many times in League One. I mean, I think we said it, especially towards the end of last season. There was a lot of goals scored on sloppy clearances and sloppy goalkeeping inside the box. So definitely something to look out for. And a bright spot for Tormenta. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of bright spots for Tormenta in this match, but one thing you can take solace in is those final 15 minutes if you're a Tormenta fan. So I think Tormenta is going to be just fine. I think Central Valley is going to come in and surprise a lot of people. Um, I know in our preseason rankings, I didn't pick them last. I still don't think they're going to be last after this match. Um, but I also really am holding off judgment on all of these teams until probably week 3 or 4 before we really get a look at all the teams and see how everybody's playing. But
Yeah,
uh,
that's smart to do.
definitely bright spots for both teams. And Central Valley comes out with a win in their first match under Jermaine Jones. That's got to feel good for them. Um, but listening to the El Fuego pod, they pointed out that Central Valley Fuego has also won their first match their previous 2 seasons. So
Yep.
um, definitely something. Take it with a grain of salt. Enjoy the win. Move on to the next part of your schedule because they definitely have two juggernauts for this season coming in this week with Union Omaha and the week after that with Forward Madison.
Yeah, I agree.
Ironically, Tormenta playing Forward Madison this week.
I agree with you. My preseason rankings are just trash. And especially seeing the way that Fuego played this weekend, this is a new Fuego team. This is a different Fuego team. They are not going to be last place.
Mhm.
And I know that I was adamant over and over toward the end of the season, actually, probably even halfway through last season, where I was saying Fuego is not going to be the wooden spoon winners. I have that kind of faith in Fuego to turn it around. All indications from this past weekend is that the new system, the players, technical staff, it's things are turning around over there in Fresno. So if you are not already going to Fuego matches, you better start going because
Mhm.
it's going to get exciting there.
Yeah, definitely.
And excuse me, as far as the red card on Jake Dengler toward the end of that match,
Mhm.
can't really
It
speak about it much at all since there's an investigation happening. But I find it weird that we haven't heard back from the league by now. Usually we would hear back from the league
Mhm.
Wednesday, possibly early Thursday morning. But
Yeah.
here we are going into Friday and we still haven't heard anything about that. But we, I mean, since there is an investigation, they are going to release the findings from that investigation. So we'll just have to keep our eyes, peeled out for that one. So we should be hearing back on that one soon. Certainly, they're going to have to do it before kickoff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you need to know if Dangler's going to be available or not. So,
Yeah.
um, I uh, they didn't pick anything up on camera. So it's tough to really know what exactly went on. So I mean, if it's being investigated, I can only assume it's not something that's really cut and dry and something they're gonna have to really look at. I know they have the the cameras for the field that the teams specifically have, so they'll be able to take a look at those. I'm sure those have already been sent to the league for them to review and everything like that. So we'll get an
Right.
answer. I would like to see a little bit more transparency in the league in that aspect. I think we should probably be able to know exactly what these cards are for and what the league is doing to kind of figure out whether or not they rescind red cards or uphold them. So just a little food for thought for any USL uh, league office members listening to the pod. Maybe a little more transparency.
This is completely unrelated to that, but another sense of transparency from front office. I would love to hear more about which play-by-play commentator is gonna cover which match.
Mhm.
I feel like the commentators will say something on their Twitter
Yeah.
about which match they're doing, but we don't get any announcements from the league, from even broadcasters, like, on
Mhm.
social media, like, "Hey, this is the broadcast crew for this week." 'Cause
Mhm.
we get that from pro refs, but we don't get that from the broadcasting side.
Right. Right.
So
And
I feel like I would like to see more of that so that we could highlight the commentators as well. You
mhm.
know, they do a great job. They deserve to be in the spotlight too. So
And we've got good ones.
yeah, we do. Oh yeah, we do.
We've got some really good ones. Also want to
Yeah,
say I appreciate the shout out on the match day commentary, Donnie. That was awesome.
yeah,
Um, so appreciate you doing that for everybody. That's really cool that you continue to do that. I know you've been doing that for a while, so
yeah.
really cool, and I know we appreciate it. So
I love that feature whenever he's calling matches.
mhm, really good, really good.
Yeah. All right. So end of week one, the prediction leaderboard, fans are winning with one. They've predicted one correct. You and I have not corrected a single one correct yet. So we got some work to do.
Hmm.
But now we're heading into week two. Where are we at with the time? Yeah,
We got an
start
hour.
wrapping up.
Yeah, we're at an hour 25. So luckily, I mean, it's still early. A lot of these teams are going to be playing their first matches, so
Yeah,
we'll highlight them. We'll make our picks, but I don't think we don't have to spend a whole lot of time going over the
yeah,
picks, and we'll spend more time reviewing next week.
yep,
So we also got questions that I do want to get to as well.
yeah. All right, so let's just do rapid fire here. Friday evening, we have or tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow
Hmm.
night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Lexington hosts Chattanooga. Who you got?
Oh, Lexington and Chattanooga. Sorry, I didn't write this one down. Um, so Lexington, obviously, big dogs in the league as far as money spent on players. Chattanooga completely retooled this season. Um, I'll give me Lexington 2-0 in this one.
Okay, I'll take Lexington 2-1. And then to start off our Saturday matches, we have the sold out home opener from Spokane as they welcome Richmond into town. Make sure you get there early because St. Patty's Day parade is going to be going on. So you can actually check the club's website for street closures, march to the match, all that kind of stuff. And they're going to have a commemorative photo taken by a drone. So plenty of cool
Sweet.
stuff happening there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there. Super cool. Spokane selling out their first match. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Way to go. Um, I will say Richmond used to playing in front of big crowds. So if you're hoping for a home field advantage in this one, you might have it because I'm sure your fans are going to be rabid. But just know that Richmond is no stranger to playing in front of 5,000 plus.
Yeah. Yep. Got that right. All right. Spokane hosting Richmond. Who you got?
Oh, in this one, I like Spokane looked pretty good. Richmond remains largely unchanged. They're also going to be without Emiliano Terzaghi for this one, who suffered a finger injury that requires surgery, and he announced today that he's going to be out for a while.
Oh,
So no Terzaghi against a good looking Spokane team. I think Spokane gets it done at home, and I'm going to say 2-1 Spokane.
okay. I'll go Spokane. I'll go Spokane 1-0. All right. Next up is Charlotte hosting One Knox. Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Oh, Charlotte and One Knox. Two teams that haven't played yet, so tough to tell. Charlotte is largely unchanged as well. A little bit older, a little bit worse for wear, but also a team that went to the finals last year. So um, maybe and pretty much unchanged roster is a good thing. Knoxville, you're going to get a defensive battle. Uh, I like Charlotte in this one though. I think the experience takes it 1-0.
Ooh, I was gonna say that too. All right, so I'll change it. I'll say Charlotte 2-0.
Yeah.
All right. Tormenta hosting Madison.
Oh, I don't think you can do this one, so I
I
will
can't.
I will predict this one. Tormenta, if they play like the last 15 minutes of the Fuego match, I think they'll be okay. But this is another team in Forward Madison that has spent some money and brought in some pretty good players. So in this one, Tormenta let me down last one. We don't know what we're gonna get with Madison. But I like Forward Madison in this one, 2-1.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. Last one of the week is Central Valley Fuego hosting Union Omaha.
Yeah, Central Valley, good looking team. I do have some issues with how they're going to cope with running that much in the Central Valley. This is a Union Omaha team that, on paper, you could make an argument has either the best or the second best roster. I still have a lot of hopes for Omaha this season, so I actually like Omaha in this one 3-0.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's that confidence coming through. Um, all right, so I was on Fuego Pod earlier this week and I was the wet towel during the predictions. Because I said that Fuego hasn't had a clean sheet in 33 matches. They've never beaten Union Omaha at home. They've never scored on Union Omaha at home. But I did give them a 1-1 draw. So, but after like thinking about that more, I'm gonna go 2-0 Union Omaha.
Take the man out of Omaha, but you can't take Omaha out of the man. No, I like that,
Uh,
and I did give that pod a listen earlier today, as I alluded to, and obviously over there do a great job, and you were fantastic on the episode as well.
Thank you, man. It really, I really do enjoy chatting with them. They're such a fun crew.
hmm And it's cool to
They have good
see
chemistry over
Leah's
there.
doing the athletic brewing again this year.
She is, yeah, yeah,
So really cool. Non-alcoholic beer option. You know what? You guys need to go listen to it. She'll give you the spiel, and you
yep,
should listen to them anyway because they are fantastic as well, covering Fuego.
yep. You got it. All right, so we had some questions this week. Let's try to jump into these here really quick. From Tim over at Ranting Blue Penguin. His first question is, "What are your thoughts on the attendance numbers that came out this weekend?"
Not great.
Yeah.
Really not great. We actually flew through those a lot quicker, so I think we do have a little bit more time to go a little bit deeper. But um, yeah, I mean, let me go through and read them again. Tormenta and Fuego's attendance was 1184. Lexington and Northern Colorado, I almost said NoCo, Northern Colorado, 127, jeez, 1273, excuse me, sorry. And Greenville and Spokane was 1595. So nobody breaks 2,000 fans. It's not indicative usually of the league to be that low. Um, I know there was some pretty shitty weather in the South over the weekend. I hope that's a lot to do with it. Um, but I think attendances will get better. It's frustrating and sad to see because that shouldn't be the norm in the league. Um, I'd like to see everybody around that 3,000 mark. I know that's maybe a stretch, but um, yeah, I mean, we could just chalk it down to first week of the season, bad weather, all the games being in the South.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just a bad combo for the weekend.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we were hoping for our numbers. Obviously, we were hoping for our numbers to be higher, but at the same time, with the weather that we had come through, it is what it is, you know. There's gonna be the diehards that are gonna show up with the ponchos, with the umbrella, all that kind of stuff, with the rain boots. But for the people who maybe are halfway fans, are still trying to get into the atmosphere, get
Mhm.
acquainted with the club, yeah, that's gonna be a tough draw.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. You're going
Yeah,
to have weeks like this. You're going to have weeks where attendance rises and falls. We saw that last season. But everybody kind of towards the end of the season was pretty close to that 2,000 mark. So
yeah,
I'd expect that to happen again this season. I don't have
yeah.
any worries about that.
All right, next question. Also from Tim at Ranting Blue Penguin. Did preseason favorite Lexington just get a bad break having to play an Amon Zayed team to start? Or was there another reason for the offensive struggle to start?
I mean, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but to me,
Yeah,
this was kind of just let's go in, see if we can get something to work, see if we can figure them out, but we're not going to be upset with a draw.
yeah,
Um, it's a tough Northern Colorado team. And let's be honest, you play that team and you come out of there without some bumps and bruises, you'd be extremely lucky. So I think that might have had something to do with it being the first match of the season. And it's the first match of the season, man. I mean, it's going to be tough on everybody. We'll kind of see how it goes, but those are two teams that most everybody picked in some form in the top 4 um, at the end of the season. So
yeah.
just a tough match to start the season.
All right, next set of questions. Actually, it's just one question. This is from Connor, Connor Hewson. You can find him on Twitter at Connor_Hewson. This one, okay, so I'll read his question first. How many clubs does League One have at the beginning of next season? My guess is 13. I just don't buy into all of the expansion rumors. In parentheses, this is a combination of teams not being ready and championship poaching markets from League One. Into parentheses. So I don't know if anybody has seen, I hope everybody has seen this, but Alex over at League One Updater has done a fantastic job, not only with the transaction tracker, but also with the expansion tracker. And when you go to his progress updates just from a couple days ago, from Tuesday, he has these broken down from Naples to Brooklyn to Texoma to Antelope Valley, Portland, Maine, Santa Barbara Sky. He has updates on all of these clubs in here. And there's even a breakdown of Corpus Christi FC, Wilmington, Tucson, Lane United, Fort Wayne, Real Central, New Jersey, Harlem, Fort Myers. I mean, Alex went into huge efforts to pull this information, put it in front of our eyes, and make us all the more knowledgeable because of it. So huge shout out to Alex and league1updater.com. This is a great article. If you have any doubts about the expansion stuff, go check that out. Ton of information there.
Yeah.
But back to the question, how many do you see us at next season?
Um, so we're at 12 this season. Um, confirmed quote unquote for 2025 on league1updater.com is Antelope Valley. We can take off Brooklyn FC because that's fairly recent. Portland, Santa Barbara Sky, and Texoma. Santa Barbara came out and said 25 they will be playing. So they also said that they won't be playing this season a few days after this season officially started. So I think
Yeah.
that was the most like, well, yeah, I know kind of deal. Um, we're at 12. I say we get 14. I think Santa Barbara actually commits and comes in. And you know what? Really feel like Texoma is going to make that happen. Um,
So you only think 2 are gonna join the league next year?
I only think 2 in 25. I don't know if Antelope Valley. I haven't heard any updates super recently from them. Granted, I haven't been looking either. So, um, and then Portland. Since we're losing Brooklyn, Portland, Santa Barbara, Texoma, and Antelope Valley are confirmed for 25. But we also were confirmed that Brooklyn was coming to League One. So
I mean, I feel a lot more confident than you do. I especially when I read League One Updater, I'm buying all 5
all
coming
of
in
them.
next season. All of them.
Well, we're only getting 4 for sure.
What do you mean only getting 4?
There's 5 up there, but Brooklyn's not coming to the League One anymore. We got Antelope Valley,
I got 6
Portland.
in that top part because you got Naples,
Oh, that's right, Naples. Man, okay, okay.
and it sounds like there's some heavy progress happening over there too. So I'm jumping on the train. I think there's gonna be 5 next season.
17 total teams next season.
But I'm also biased and selfish in that I want League One, big and successful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to root for all 5 of those clubs to make it into the league next season. So we have more to entertain ourselves with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to see all of these teams come in for sure. And if we can get two divisions in USL that are both in the big enough to split into East and West divisions and go from there, I think that'll be cool. It'll be interesting to see. I guess I'm just pessimistic about some of the teams, um, but I can tell you that if all of them came in, I would be more than excited to see every
Yeah.
single one of those because those are also really good locations for teams as well. They definitely did a good job scouting it out.
Because the most that I've ever come into League One, is it 3 or 4? For some reason, I wanted to say 4 like in 21, but at the same time, it could be 3 for that same season.
I'm
I
not
can't
sure,
remember.
but yeah,
But yeah,
without looking it up, I couldn't tell you off the top of
because we
my
had
head.
3 when Central Valley, NoCo, and Charlotte joined.
Hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I would have to dig up on that stuff, but yeah. Do we have any questions in the YouTube, the live chat?
Yeah, Michael asking, do you think more teams will join, but some will jump, like Lexington or Omaha
Ooh,
in 25? Hmm. Omaha's already said that they will make the jump when their stadium is done in 26.
yeah, yeah,
So League One has at least one more year of Union Omaha. Lexington, I think the talk has been that they're setting up to do the jump to championship. I haven't seen anything official come out of that as
yeah.
far as owners or anybody else. Like with the Omaha news, that was Omaha's owner, Gary Green, one of their
Mhm.
principal owners, saying we will have a championship team. That's why we're building the stadium um, in 26. So that's why I feel fairly confident Omaha will make the jump in 26, pending the stadium being done. Otherwise, I don't know where else they would play. I don't think they're allowed to play in Warner Park for that amount of matches that championship has. I think baseball would come in the way of that quite a bit. Um, but as far as more teams other than Lexington or Omaha making the jump, oh, that's tough.
There's those
Um,
rumors about Chattanooga.
I think Chattanooga has been eyeing it. Yeah, that would be the only team I see because I know Forward Madison has been approached about that, and they have said no, we're happy in League One.
Yep.
Um, Richmond wouldn't do it unless they could guarantee their financial success in championship, because I
Yep.
think it would probably hurt them more than it would help them to jump up and then have to jump back down eventually. Um, Plus, they're also getting solid attendance numbers at the League One level. So, um, yeah, I don't foresee any other teams jumping anytime soon. So I think if Lexington leaves and when Omaha leaves, you'd probably be at, well, if all five join, you'd be at 17. So you'd be at 15 teams still.
Yeah.
And that's without any expansion, which they still have a few rumored teams out there. So
Yep.
I don't, to answer the question, I don't see anybody else other than Lexington and Omaha doing it. But um,
Let me
obviously
throw
that
this
could
one at you.
change.
What would you think if someone said, this is pure conjecture. What would you say if someone come up to you and said, Velocity is going to championship?
After 1 year in League One,
If they're selling out all of their home matches, those people are buying merchandise, there's
hmm
plenty of revenue coming in. They're gonna generate enough money where they could possibly afford the jump to get into a championship. Do
wouldn't
you think they
surprise
would?
it wouldn't surprise me with where they're at. Um, I think soccer culture up there is big still, really big. Um, so it wouldn't surprise me. I think it would be really difficult for them to sell a jump to championship, excuse me, if they aren't one of the teams that win silverware this season. Because that's traditionally
So
what it's been. When NCFC went up, they went up after they won the title.
yeah.
So I think unless you win some silverware, it's going to be hard to sell that jump.
So the script is written. Union Omaha's winning the title in 26.
Union Omaha's winning the title this season, and then in 26, yeah.
Okay,
If
so let me pose this one at you. Spokane goes through that whole scenario where they're making boku money.
mhm,
They can make it up to championship. Does that suddenly open the path for Lane United to come into League One?
probably does. I would assume it would have to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we just need promotion and relegation. Then this is a moot point. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it. I know they said it's not as easy as flipping a switch, but we've got to be getting close at this point, especially with the amount of teams championships bringing in, the amount of teams League One's bringing in. It's got to be close. They've got to be in daily discussions about it, and it's got to be getting close. I think we see
Yeah.
that sooner rather than later.
Let's see. Jumping into the live chat. Michael says Portland joins. Yep, I agree. I think Portland is definitely going to join. They've been very Tim over at Ranting Blue Penguin is saying they've been very active compared to Santa Barbara. Yep, I'll agree with that. But um it sounds like there's been some communication happening over at Santa Barbara, so they're reigniting those efforts to stay alive and to, you know, work toward a flourishing club out there. So hopefully they find some success out there. Um, Rico coming in saying if they don't have a winning record or playoff, it would be a little weird in my opinion, not ready. I agree. I can see that. I can see that argument.
hmm
Rico also coming in saying I'm working on a video that has a hypothetical format of what promotion relegation would look like in USL and how it works with the Open Cup. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Love it.
I'm excited to see that video.
Rico, is that going to be on your personal or Linners and Woozers? And then Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media saying Antelope Valley open house from this weekend. Oh, that was in reference to Antelope Valley's open house for them this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
saying
cool.
I think they share a fate based on how their Super League team does also.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair. That's that's gonna be a thing too. If teams have women's teams, what level they go into in the pyramid, and if their branding is tied to the men's side like Lexington's is.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions on Twitter or in the live chat. You got anything else?
No, I've got nothing else. I'm just excited to be back in the season, week 2.
Yeah.
Match on tomorrow. So that'll be fun. 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's 6 p.m. my time. So right in the dinner hours, but we'll make it
Yeah.
work. I got
Okay.
multiple TVs. We'll be able to watch it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of League One on the Rocks. We will be back next week with a recap of week 2, diving into some of the previews for week 3, as well as some predictions, going over league news, all that kind of stuff. We're going to continue throwing everything that we can at you. So thank you for tuning in. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich, but I'm not. That is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.